good. Make sure you're eating, okay? This was actually mine, but go ahead, son. This food was on the table.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of How Did We Get Here? I'm your host, Jay Carter, and the man that is always heard and never ever will be seen, Skeens.
That's right. Ever.
AKA Dr. Claw, AKA the background killer, AKA the Wizard of Oz. Also, we got a very special guest, our officially unofficial third co-host, Mr. Kai Phoenix. Almighty, my brother. Again, better than your average is the channel and the movement. How did we get here is the show. We got two cousins that are like brothers, talking anything, everything, and the process. How did we get here? My brothers, gentlemen, how y'all doing today, man?
Great.
Good, man. Good.
Man, I was just sharing with these dudes, me and wifey have been on a quest to find a new bed. And we got two kids that like to sleep in the bed, and we done had a queen all this time. Everybody's like, ooh, you had a queen? I'm like, yeah, we had a queen. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. my peasantry queen size bed, but
all the people that was offended and felt some kind of way, you should have had them create a GoFundMe.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it worked for us, but kids be trying to sleep in the bed with you, and then I have aspirations to have like a ridiculously huge bed eventually. Like, there's a place where you can get like custom beds that I seen that Shaq was even endorsing these people, where you can get like a 9x9 or even like a 10x. I like that, just because I always wanted to have just a ridiculous bed. But
and Shaq is the king. Everybody wants Shaq's original bed.
Yeah, you remember that one was on Cribs? Yeah.
So I was like, is that a swimming pool that he made into a bed?
So again, y'all, I just we talked about it last episode, but your boy just turned that big 39 on Thursday. You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
So, for a fact, I didn't think about it all these years that my wife and I have been together, but for a full month, me and my sister-in-law are the same age. So she was messing with me, and then I was thinking about it, like, wait a minute, because she's like, oh, you get old, but so she'll turn 40 next month. But for 1 month, almost to the T, we're both 39 years old, so we like ghetto twins. But anyway, man, as always, we just want to send love, peace, and blessings out to the family out there, and appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. Don't forget to please subscribe. Go check the channel out, drop us comments, and as Skeens and I, Kai supports this as well, and the reason why we all on here, even if we have difference of opinion, we appreciate the comments and the feedback. We're not afraid to hear something that's contrary to what we think. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine of ours, he has a Instagram page where he like discusses sports and stuff. So he had put the question basically, if LeBron had a Pippen and a Rodman, would he have done the same amount of chips or more chips than MJ? And so I was saying, based on, and I know where Kai would go, but anyway, I was saying that in the years that he won, I would argue that as far as having the 1-2 punch, he always had it, just like MJ had, and then you got to have the supporting. So anyway, there was a guy that chimed in on there. He was saying that, I forgot how he worded it, but after we clarified it, he was saying basically, once it's all said and done, that LeBron will have played against more Hall of Fame. Because I was like, with some of the logic that they were saying that one guy was saying that MJ played against plumbers and cab drivers or whatever, and I was like, there was a lot of Hall of Famers in there. And then
there were, but they didn't even stretch back then, and they played in Converse.
Anyway, like that, this ain't time for your point. I'm making a point based on. I know where you're gonna go. But I didn't understand his line at first, so I was getting clarity, And the dude was like, yo, I like debating with people like you that will like say, I said, I'm ignorant to what you're saying, but just explain to me. And I'm like, yeah, these cats out here in the culture that's don't like to hear anything contrary is so. And I wanted to jump into that because I was Skeens and I were just having a conversation, Kai, about and we're always having this conversation is that there's social currency in being offended these days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I know you can expound on that. I mean, because Kai, again, I always call him the contrarian in many ways. He loves his role as the contrarian, but
I do.
You know what I'm saying? And he and I would go back and forth online about a myriad of topics, but it was never no love lost because we just have a difference of opinion. You know what I'm saying? And I think people these days, again, it seems like you get more, again, like I said, social currency, and you get more pats on the back for being offended by everything all the time. You know what I'm saying? We was just raised in a different, and I know, again, as times change, in some ways good, but to me in some ways bad, because I think we coddle emotions to a degree that's a little bit too much these days.
Yeah. It is, go ahead, Skeens.
No. Go ahead, bro.
It's a mix of things. It's a smorgasbord, man.
Yep.
I think that there are so many connecting wires, right? Mm-hmm. And part of it is a segment of the society that never had a voice now has a voice.
Okay. Yep.
And so what they're telling you is what is not going to be okay now that they have the opportunity to do it. Mm-hmm. Then you got a segment of society who has the ability to tell people that never had to live in the same rules what they could do. Like, I could actually cancel a celebrity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have a certain amount of power over this person who used to be untouchable, So it's a power trip there. There's also a segment of society that, every generation is supposed to be better than the one that came before.
Yep.
You see, the generations that grew up and smoking was nothing, and people smoked when they were pregnant. Then you got the generation after that realizes that was a bad thing. So you got generations that are learning from it. I never heard the word anxiety until I was like almost in my 30s.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That wasn't a thing that we discussed in the black community. That wasn't a thing we focused on. Depression was a thing, but we just felt like, sometimes you feel down, but you got to keep moving. Mm-hmm. It's not cultural in us to recognize depression and anxiety. That's new.
Right. Yep.
And then there's a point where you want to be better. There's no balance. You want to be better because you know better.
Right.
But at the same time, they don't want you to be better. They want you to be right. They want you to say everything that's right. Mm-hmm. You're not allowed to be wrong anymore, and you're not allowed to be wrong and be forgiven once you learn better.
Man, that's real. Yeah, indeed.
And the problem is when everybody starts considering all the feelings, which could be a good thing, you grow weaker as a society. Mm-hmm. And while our generation missed out on a lot of healing and things that could have helped us get through, we also were tougher because we dealt with a more honest and harsher society.
Right.
Absolutely.
And this generation is hung up on stuff that at the end of the day, if an EMP goes off, that's the last thing. We grew up in survivor mode, and we have no time to elevate when you're on survivor mode. Mm-hmm. But it made us stronger and able to survive more things, put things in perspective. Nowadays, you got more information, but we don't know what to do with the information. We're using information against each other. And ultimately what it leads into is all we do is censor each other.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We're worried about the conservatives censoring us, but it's the liberal class that is actually censoring us.
That's exactly what it is. I remember a homegirl of mine one time, we were talking about a guy that we mutually knew, and she knew him in high school. She didn't know him as he had matured as an adult. And she's like, oh, he on this and this and this and that now. He wasn't like that in high school. And I was like, well, he shouldn't have been, though, or he wouldn't have been. And she's like, oh, you're right. You know what I'm saying? But at first she was looking at it like it was crazy that maybe it wasn't real, it was false. But I'm like, he should have matured since high school, until he's 30. You know what I'm saying? But that take me into another point, Kai. What was your thoughts on the Kirk Franklin cuss out. You know, what are your thoughts on him? And again, his son is, from what I understand, will be like 33 in May.
He's 33, man.
Well, yeah, he'll be 33 in May, but you know.
I feel like the only reason it was a big deal is because he's a minister, and that's not the image.
Right.
But if anybody is being completely honest with ourselves, that's black culture, really.
Right.
And when you're 33 years old, hey, man, come on, bro.
Right.
Come on, man.
Skeens and I were talking about it, is that if, now, here, full disclosure from me, I don't have a level in J, guys. Not knocking anybody else, but there's not a level in me where I get to that point with anybody. It's just not in me. You know, I don't get there. I don't communicate that way. That's just not. And Trey will never have a moment. Liz has never had a moment where I can get there, right? So I personally, in my household, I don't communicate. I don't believe in communicating that way when we get upset with each other. So that's me. On the flip side of that, also, one thing that I've always appreciated about Kirk, while he is a minister and, you know, he sings gospel, one of the things about his messaging that I always appreciated about him is that there's imperfection, and that's one thing he likes to remove from trying to get people to even have a relationship with God, because sometimes as Christians we can always present this image that you got to be this and this way, you know, to have the relationship. And he's like, nah, that's actually not how it has to go. You know what I'm saying? And I remember he even gave an example once that he said something to the effect that sometimes with Christianity, you're like in some water drowning. Instead of people trying to actually help you, they're critiquing how you swimming. You know what I'm saying? Swim harder, backstroke, you know, do this and this and this and this and this. You know what I'm saying? When people just looking to have her actually just need to be helped, you know, and loved, essentially. But dude is 33 years old, and Skeens and I were talking about this. Let's say you do have this relationship with your pops, and you're a kid, and your dad is always snapping on you like that, and you got to live in the house with the dude. Okay, got it. But Kai, when you're at the age of adulthood and you're grown and gone, for me, I would say, okay, this dude is snapping on me, cussing me out, threatening to break my neck, just saying if I'm all the way on the side of his son. He's threatening to break my neck every time. I'm just not going to fool with this dude anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
I'm going to love you from a distance.
5 years younger than, the man is 5 years younger than me.
Yes.
And to be completely honest with you, this world is filled with bigger things.
Right.
I think that he did exactly what he wanted to do. And it might have been a setup, to tell you the truth.
Right.
I think that this isn't the first incident where he's obviously it's not the first incident where he clashed with his father, but I think that he may have pushed buttons just to get what he wanted.
Right.
He wanted to hurt his pops and he wanted to hurt his image, and he did it.
Yeah, he definitely did that.
Well, his mom also did an interview recently.
Yep.
And she also said that her son was wrong. Now, you think about it. It's not. How often do you see a mother, especially a black mother, not defend her son?
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she stated that he's told her that he's recorded her as well.
Right.
So this is not a one-time thing. This is a reoccurring activity on his behalf, as well as we talk about that conversation with him and Kirk. They said it was 2 hours. Mm-hmm. Kirk talked about how they had a counselor on the phone. He negated everything else of that conversation other than that sound bite.
Right.
He left out what got Kirk to that point. As we talk about, it should never get to that point in terms of communication. Like you say, you'll never have that. You would never do that with Trey, but also you have a point of reference, which is your father.
Absolutely.
He never talked to you in that manner. So you had someone to look up to, and you understood how to communicate with women.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Kirk and then the mother talked about how they had their son when they were very young.
Yeah.
So they was going through their ups and downs, trying to be kids raising a kid.
Yep.
But she talked about through it all, her and Kirk has been steadfast.
Right.
In been on the same accord in terms of how to raise him.
Right.
They don't do anything else in terms of communication, but everything has been about their kid.
Yeah.
So, and she said she's willing to, hey, if we're gonna do it, let's get a counselor for all of us. Said even if we want to do it on TV, put everybody's dirt on out on Front Street. Yeah. That way, we can really examine the right and wrongs and how to build us correctly.
Right.
But when you do a sound bite and you got your friends in the background gassing you up, at the end of the day, those friends may not just because they're your friend today don't mean they're gonna be your friend tomorrow. But
Indeed.
forever, Kirk's gonna be your father.
Yeah, indeed. Now, here's the other. It's a dude, Kai, that my mom told me about. That's on YouTube, and I stumbled on him. I call him. He's basically Black Gospel TMZ. His name is Larry Reed. So he got some audio, and I think it came like Hollywood Unlocked had it in some other places. But to me, in the audio, it sounds like Kirk is probably on TV performing, or like, at some award show or something like that, and it's allegedly supposed to be the voice of his son saying, something to the effect of, they're about to show my child molester. So now he's interjected this other piece in there, that it's alleged now that he's saying part of this abuse that we see, that he was molested by Kirk as well. So I'm waiting to see where that goes, but it's the rabbit hole is getting deeper.
I just think that this don't need to play out into the public.
Of course not.
And I don't, naturally it is a thing that children who are born into families that have fame and wealth don't always come out. In more cases than none, you got issues out of them because they had to live a life that was less grounded. Yeah. Not taken away from anything that he may have experienced, but that's something for them to work out. You putting it into the public like that, at any point in time, he could have said, Kirk Franklin molested me.
Right, yeah.
It's not an uncommon thing in the black church community, so he could have done that, but that's not what he did. No. He wanted to bring him out as this, and now you're just sort of piling onto it, and Yeah.
Well, I think one thing they kind of alleged is that he feels some form of resentment because he didn't grow up the way Kirk's current family did. Right. So at the time that Kirk had him, Kirk wasn't who Kirk Franklin is now financially or or stature.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So he felt some type of way of, all the things that Kirk's current family is getting. Mm-hmm. You're not, and sometimes in the midst of all of those different things, you have to understand that you can't want my resources.
Right.
But yet and still, you want to go to war with me, but you still want to receive my resources.
Well, yeah, a lot of it looks like in one of our, Elder Hilliard at church, he put it this way one time when he was talking about his kids when they were young coming to him for money. And he was like, they want my provision, but they don't want my presence there when they utilize it, when they having a good time with my fudge. You know what I'm saying? So I know Kirk was basically saying that dude wants things from me, but he wants it his way. You know everybody, what I'm saying? So
everybody want to be the king, but nobody wants the responsibility that comes along with it.
And I know Kai, was echoing the sentiments basically that Kirk. I ain't gonna say what Kirk said, but essentially is that if your dad is calling your manhood into question, and then you post audio conversation of y'all, maybe some of what he is talking about is true. He might have been on to something, because none of us would ever post a conversation where we getting into it with our pops for the world to hear. That's something, like you said, Kai, that you handle internally. But I wanted to real quick, Kai, did you pay attention to anything that came out from the Grammys? And I pay attention to it as a side. It's not, as relevant to me as it was to me as a youth, but I still pay attention to it a little bit. So what did you what was your take on some of the Grammy Award stuff?
I was just happy that Nas finally got his.
Indeed, shout out to Nas. Salute to Esco.
Blue Ivy became the second youngest, and Beyonce broke the record. And so Sonic performed. So I just wanted to see those things.
Yeah, we didn't do we was gonna do a Silk Sonic review of the Leave the Door Open, but I mean, long story less long, It's a great song. It's to me. I mean, it's almost just everything is in line. And then the version of it, they did a little bit of a change, and some of the arrangement for the Grammys was even better. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Bruno Mars and Anderson, man, Anderson .Paak, because I mean, that thing is crispy. It don't.
Yes,
it stays fresh on my ears, man. It don't get old. That's that type of track like
Timeless
that.
music. I have a question though. Right?
Go ahead.
Why do we continue to care anything about the Grammys?
I'm gonna let Kai answer first.
So for years, for many, and when I say that, I'm going to cut you off. For many years, the Grammy has overlooked our culture. When everyone in the world know that our culture moves everything, there's nothing that sells without our influence. But yet and still, we go to the Grammys for handouts and begging them to love us when they've shown us repetitively that they don't care about us. We'll use your names for on the marquee to get people to come look, but we'll never really award you anything. We'll have Jay-Z name, they'll have Beyonce, and so all these people named on a headline on all the commercials. They use our social currency to lure people in to watch, but I'll never reward you with anything. But yet and still, we go there every year and complain and get mad. But then when we have the Soul Train Awards and other black-owned award shows, we never show up. And then when we show up, we go and act and show out in the wrong manner. So forget about the Grammy. Make what we have as prestigious as the way as we view the Grammys. Okay. I've never understood why we continue to. I haven't watched the Grammys in years. Right. This year was like the first time it was like the Grammys version of trying to say Black Lives Matter. Okay. Don't care.
What say you, Kai?
On this subject, I think that people are discussing two different things, right? Okay. On one side of the discussion, we're talking about validation. Not necessarily the Grammys, but why do we seek validation? And then in specific, white validation. Right. And to Skeens' point, it has always been a point that, we don't feel valued by the Grammys, and yet we devalue our award show. Like, we'll stab you at the Source Awards, and we'll fight at the Vibe Awards, and nobody really takes Soul Train Awards seriously. But that ain't got nothing to do with white folks. That's us. Yep. Now, as far as the Grammys go, I would agree that there has not been consideration and proper attention shown to greatness that comes from black people. The only pushback that I would have is that it's sort of like, whether it be white people or black people, I think that it is established that we see the Grammys as the highest point musically. Sort of like, these are the pros. This is when you're doing music on the highest level. So it's not that black artists are seeking white validation. Whatever the highest prize is, when they make art, they want to be appreciated for their art, and they want to compete on the highest level if they make music on the highest level. If the measuring stick for that is the Grammys, then we seek Grammys. It's not about white approval. It's about, I want to win because I'm not just doing this just to do it. If I wanted to just make music, I just make music. I'm putting art out in the world, and I want it to be appreciated. Now, artists can go their whole careers, like Nas, and we already know the man is an icon. He created the greatest rap record of all time. He's one of the greatest lyricists at every time. He's one of the most important black and musical artists of all time. The man never finished middle school. Did he need a Grammy to validate himself? No. But at the same time, yes. He's performed for a number of years on the highest of platform. He deserves that award. I'm a writer. I don't care who started the Pulitzer Prize. I want a Pulitzer.
Right, I got you.
I want an Emmy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just putting art out there not to be appreciated. I don't need the validation, but I want it. If I'm going to compete on the highest level, I want to be validated.
Yeah.
I think a part of it that's key is the mind frame, though, of that. I think it's like, if I get it, okay, but if I don't, it don't make me, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Right.
It doesn't make me.
Yep.
And I definitely, I'm sure not for Nas, of course. I mean, Nas is, Kai, you said it best. The dude didn't finish middle school, and I would put him with the best of the best poets and wordsmiths and writers
Yes,
ever
sir.
in history of the
Ever.
world, guys.
In history.
If
Ever.
you go, and I know for a lot of people, or let me say for some people that have questioned our love for hip hop, just liken it to if you're a person that loves literature. It's just a different form. Or if you love film, all it is those words in a different format. Words that was on a script or word that was in the paper or in a book. These guys are telling stories, and Nas was one of the. He is a genius. He is an alien level
belongs
MC.
in the same. He belongs in the same category as Walt Whitman
Yes.
and Edgar Allan
Yeah.
Poe
There you
and,
go.
and Hughes. All of that.
Yep. Absolutely.
He's one of this country's foremost poets.
So I think just in general, even as we, not just the Grammys, but in all facets, as black people, we have to understand first and foremost that our value comes from within. You know what I'm saying? From within is where our value comes in. First, it starts within us, and then within our community, our people.
Yep.
And then outside of that, for me, just my interpretation, everything else is extra. You know what I'm saying? And we have to have that pride in one another. And Skeens was telling me something that he saw recently where it was talking about in order to love somebody, you can't love them without valuing them first. If there's no value, there can't be love.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
The actual definition of love is value.
You know what I'm saying? So,
So we can't use the word love to talk about how we love each other
right.
if we don't live up to the actual definition.
Right, because what he just sent me? What was that you sent me? What concert was that? Some cats just got shot up.
No, this was in Dallas.
In Dallas, yeah, this was in Dallas. I don't know if you saw
Lil
this
Durk
guy.
had an after party.
Yep.
And
Dallas
yeah.
is in a bad way right now.
Yeah, it's a lot of that. Yeah, a lot of that is still going on for the
As
back
far
and
as-
forth
yeah,
with
as
the
far as
Mo3
the
and
street
all
culture.
that. Yeah, as a whole.
Man.
Yeah, they're in a bad situation right now.
Yeah.
Dallas, Atlanta, and Chicago, as far as it's in a bad situation right now.
Yeah, man. So,
It goes to once again. I continue to say one of the greatest lies a lot of us tell each other that we love black people
right.
because we don't show it. I love my people, but I do everything in my power to do the opposite of what I state.
Right.
You know, what you say if people show you who they are, believe them.
Right.
Maya Angelou. We have to believe something like what else can we do? We have to come up with a method of deconstructing the way we view each other. You know what I'm saying? And part of it, as we was talking earlier about the whole cancel culture thing, right? We need to counsel. As much as we talk about counseling Pepe Le Pew or counseling Mr. Potato Head, even though there was a Miss Potato Head, we forget about that.
Right.
We need to create that same form of vitriol when we're talking about counseling. Counseling, the way we treat each other.
The negative way.
The hatred and the way that we treat each other in a negative fashion. That's the real form of cancel culture that we should be on one accord about. Because
I think that
go ahead.
reality-wise, there has to come to a place where people who think like us have to realize that while we have we concentrate and think of ways to better our specific community. But people are just people, right?
Right.
And I think that most activists who are out in the streets realize this very specifically. You do what you can for your own personal reasons.
Okay.
It ain't about saving black people, because you're not gonna. The people that you think you're gonna save, you're not gonna save. Black people are going to be black people. Niggas are going to be niggas. Excuse me.
All right, good.
No, it's two different things. Yes.
What you're trying to do is create things that give people opportunities to be better. Okay. But as far as concerning and thinking that we have to be better, that's not going to happen. Because, aside from being black, we think about black because of the country that we're in, but we're really just human beings. It's the country that we live in that defines our race. But outside of that, we're just human beings, and as human beings, we're just products of our environment. And stuff that's going on in Dallas and Atlanta and Chicago is more about environment than us as a people.
Yeah. Well, the reason go ahead.
It's just street stuff. White people go through street stuff too.
Yeah, but the reason why
we're just famous for it.
Yeah, the reason why I say that is, and which you're right. It's as we always talk about. It's always proximity in terms of the way things the interaction amongst us. But the reason why I say that is because we understand that not everyone's gonna make it.
Nope.
But
can't bring everybody.
Correct.
Can't save everybody. You can't bring them.
Correct. But if we know that everyone's not going to make it, everyone don't need to be marching when someone else outside of us do to us what we do to each other.
Yeah. So
we have to keep that same energy at all times.
How do we reconcile that, Kai? Where it seems that we give a lot of energy when, again, and I kind of know what it is, but like they say, it's the whole thing where you can fight your brother, but if somebody else do it, it's different. But in this thing, though, we're talking about killing, though.
Yeah, I want to push back immediately because I already know where you're going.
Go ahead.
And a lot of points, you're exactly right. Before you even say it.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of issues that we have to work on within our community. The reason I push back is because when people speak about the subject, they don't really know like the inner workings. Like in these cities and stuff, there is a lot of activism going on. There's a lot of advocism going on. Black people are actually out there marching and trying to make things better. And we speak as though they're not because we don't really notice too much into it. We just want to play into our own agenda. But yes, at the other end of that is the history. That's the only difference, is that there is a history there of systematic oppression. And now that we have the opportunity to fight that, we're fighting two different wars. But what I just want to say is we're fighting. Yes, we're fighting two different wars, but we're fighting. The one that gets the most attention is the one that polarizes the country. You know what I'm saying? The only reason it polarizes the country is because there's so much that we don't speak about. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because the society that we're going against, like if I make a record right now about murdering gays and white people, they're going to pull my record off the radio.
Yep.
But if I just write a rap about killing niggas, they're going to let it play. They've always let it play.
And yeah,
because that's our own issue within our own community. But people are fighting those wars in those communities. That's my only pushback.
No, we know that there are people that do so. And not marginalizing the efforts that those people put forth. But the reason why I say that it's different factions of it when I talk about how do we overcome these different things, because as we kind of bounce back to, we're talking about council culture, right? Part of the council culture is to continue the division. So we can never be whole if we're always looking for a reason to cancel the other person out. So I can't form a fist to hit you harder than I can with a slap, because each finger is canceling the other one out. So there's never a real unification. So it's almost like it's an internal civil war that's created. Because all of the cancellation, I'm canceling this one. That one's canceled. So it is internal. It's basically a new version of civil war. If you look at how the fragmentation. So
I think that cancel culture is all about power. I have the ability to have power over your life if you pay attention. See, we can't hold cancel culture on the same realm as any other fight, because this is a fight that if I don't like what you said online, I just turned my computer off.
Yeah.
Cancel culture only has the power that we give it attention-wise.
Well, the reason
if I was a celebrity and I did something that you didn't like and there was an outrage about it, I'd wait it out because people will only be mad at you for a month and then they move on to the next thing. Yeah. If you try to fight it and you do all this apologizing and stuff like that, well, now that you're weak and they know that they can pile it on, people will pile it on.
And that's the fragmentation I'm talking about.
Cancel culture is only as strong as the attention that you give it.
Correct.
And if these people are smart, they would just wait it out. Sure, I may lose some sponsors and stuff, but next year I'll be cool.
Well, the reason why I'm saying it, I'm looking at it from a different method, right? Because, yes, true enough, cancel culture is about power. But that fragmentation is also about dispersing the power. So you can never really form Voltron when I keep you fragmented. So and the reason why I say that at a level of when we talk about the fragmentation, like from at home where we're from, 80% black people, right? At least. Right. For many years, we never had a black mayor because of that fragmentation. Okay. You would have one or two great candidates that should win. But yet and still, you have people go behind another person back to bite back, to backbite, or someone that's not even a part of the culture go tell another person, "Hey, man, I think you should run. I think you'll be a great candidate." Yep. But I'm still talking about an internal the fraction. It's still about never really formulating real power, even though they're different. It's different things, but it still correlates to. There's never real power or unity because there are different things that continue to keep us from creating the power that we really need to have. So when I was talking about from a politician standpoint, it's still counseling because they're counseling out each other. Okay. To stop the real candidate, the person that should win, and everybody gets behind this person, and we create a plan, however it may be, to put other people in place.
I just think that depends. Like, if you get into politics, that just depends on your opinion. Like, you want everybody to get behind what you feel is the right candidate.
Should, but
that is subjective. For example, I'm a Bernie Sanders man because I'm revolutionary minded and I want to really dramatically change the system. That's not what the whole of black people wanted. That's why they chose Biden. Yeah. Biden was safe and he had Obama residue. That's really what our community as a whole want. What we need would be more Bernie Sanders, but we didn't know that until after George Floyd. And now we wanted a dramatic shift in systematic change if we want it now, which was the same thing that we were scared of a couple months before that. Well, so what you got to recognize is that we're the extreme. We're not normal-minded black people.
But okay, I'll give you that. And this is what I wanted to ask both of you guys, and understanding what Kai was saying is that there are activists and people out there, but that are working in these communities where this stuff is going on, right? Acknowledge that. But as a whole, or in general, do you think that we, again, care more if it's an outsider or if it's an insider? What's getting more focused, though?
What has the history? What has the history? See, when you're dealing with America, the reason we take a special offense, crime within our own communities has always existed. Okay. But that's the thing about crime. It ain't really got nothing to do with race. It has to do with proximity. And we understand that. But the reason that we're in the neighborhoods that we're in is based on redlining. Right. See, there's still systematic oppression behind that. Yep. So it gets to the point where I want to work on this situation, but there's a bigger situation. And so we focus on that outside group that has always oppressed us and got away with it. Now that we have a chance to fight back against that, crime in white communities is pretty much the same. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They don't focus on that because they don't deal with systematic oppression. Well, they don't think so. Right. The middle class, poor class, of course. But just generally, they don't deal with the same historical oppression that we do. So that's what we're fighting at the same time. But crime and gangs and stuff like that, everybody deals with it. It's just ours. We know where ours came from. We know that the Crips and the Bloods started because that generation of kids watched the Panthers and everybody else get murdered off. So they have no direction. It all goes back to a specific thing, and we're fighting that specific thing. So it is like, yeah, I talk about my brother, but you can't, because, you know, our issue with police is a little bit different than our relationship with the bad black kids in the neighborhood.
Right. I think, too, for me, just as I was having this conversation, another conversation I was having recently, again, as we were talking about value, is that the environment that I'm trying to foster is one where, and we talked about it in a prior episode, when we were discussing the usage of the word king and things of that nature, is that I'm trying to foster an environment that it's where I can show dudes love off of when I first meet them. You know what I'm saying? Where I could, pre-Rona, but, I could dap a dude up and show him love and hug him and tell him he handsome, and it not be nothing that's, that it wouldn't be where we're like outliers like you're talking about, Kai, because I was talking
I mean, that's cultural, and what you're doing is fighting, there's a cultural war.
Yeah, because I was talking to a friend of mine at work, and for her idea of how men are, she thought it was strange that we are like that with each other. Hey man, what's up, handsome? How you doing, boy? You know what I'm saying? Boy, I see you doing your thing over there, da 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 da, and always encouraging. And her mind frame was like, yo, why you always be doing that like that? You know what I'm saying? Men don't do that. I'm like, yes, we do. Yes, we do. You know what I'm saying? But it's, being raised in a certain environment, we don't have to always walk around with these false, portrayals of masculinity around each other. Well, I can't tell Kai, hey, man, that thing that you wrote was dope. You know what I'm saying? Or, hey, Kai, man, bro, like you say, I always remember Lux used to always say that, hey, handsome, you know what I'm saying? Different things like that. We're trying to change that narrative to where it's the norm. But go ahead, Kai.
See, I don't get too boisterous on all of that, because what we're doing is we're fighting hip-hop culture, and I helped create that. I contributed to that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I don't really stick my chest out on that. The way that I conduct myself as a man towards other men, both black and everybody else, is a personal choice. And I don't expect everybody else to do it. I wish people could get to the point where we're at, but we all come from different environments. And like I said, because I'm comfortable and I've created a life for myself where my baseline is taken care of. So I don't worry about where my food is coming from and where I'm going to sleep at night and this, and this. So now I can focus on elevating. Not everybody is at that point. And most of us are not at that point. So it's a gift. It's a personal walk. And at the end of the day, no matter what we say about any issue, we know that if you want to change the world, the only thing you can do is change yourself. So the way that I behave becomes cool. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Lux did. When we're talking about Lux, everybody knows when you say, what's up, handsome? You're talking about Lux. But Lux is a person who understands, if I keep doing this and then you get used to it, I've just created culture.
Yeah, that's good.
You understand what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
So now
that's a good point on what
you're already comfortable with me doing it. So if somebody else does it, it's because you're used to it from me doing it, and now it's not a big deal. I'm creating culture by the way I conduct myself personally, and I'm not trying to push that on anybody else. You change yourself, your atmosphere will change, and then that will change, and then that will change.
And I am trying to shift culture, though. I am trying to shift the culture in my own, like you say, for me. You talk about changing yourself, but then I also am trying my best at I look at it as myself, but also I'm trying to change the little piece of the world that I have around me. You know what I'm saying? And influence it in the best way that I can in a positive manner. But what were you going to say, Skeen?
I think in everyone, like you said, it all has a start with you. Right. But part of that conscious decision, as we talk about, hey, we in a comfortable environment.
Right.
Right. I wasn't always in a comfortable environment. Mm-hmm. I come from the bottom.
Yeah.
But I never portrayed the thug. Some of my best friends were bangers. And I see when I go home, they still show me love because I never looked at them any different than the person that they were. I never faked like I was in a gang. I never faked the handshake. And every one of them, no matter what gang they were in, still showed me love and love me to this day. So
well,
it's
that's
not
because consequences come with that, though. Well, you know what I'm saying? It's not one of those atmospheres in which you can fake because they will check you.
No,
and if you are fake, there's repercussions that follow that.
Well, I'm bringing it as from a whole point. There are a lot of people that fake it. Believe me, there are a lot of people today. A lot of it is portrayal. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about there are people that do great work. But despite the work that they do, there are a lot of influences that tell people that loud minority is the way to go because the representation that we see. And for the kids that's coming up that don't have a father figure or the correct in-house structure, what they see and what's being marketed and promoted to them either on TV, social media, and so on and so forth is a certain thing. And they aspire to be what they see because they have a less than feeling within. So when you have women that say, "Oh, the guys only want these Instagram models. I'm gonna contour my body to look this certain way." Well, because that's what's being promoted to you. So subconsciously, you thinking that that's what you have to be. But as you talked about, Jay, the women at work didn't think that men talk the way that we talk.
Got you. Because
of what's being marketed to them. So we have to understand that we have to start from the ground level of teaching people that forget what's being marketed to you. Mm-hmm. Internally, we have to, at a lower level, we got to start creating ways to, if there's no father figure around, guys in the community start picking up the little brothers. Hey, I'm gonna take them to the barbershop, let them sweep some hair, hang around some guys. Or, hey, sister, hey, we're gonna help. If you have an issue with him, call us over. Mm-hmm. Hey, we can take all the little dudes to go watch a movie. We gotta start young. We gotta start making social media.
I see a lot of that. I see a lot of that within our community, but none of that is going to be cooler than the present culture. It never will. What we're talking about is battling what I'm not even calling it hip hop culture. I call it rap culture.
Yeah. Okay.
We're battling rap culture, and at this point, rap culture is Black American culture.
But
there are different branches, and I see a lot of changes, which is why I push back on everybody. Is the woke thing is an official thing within our community. There is a counterbalance, but it will never be as cool.
Correct.
But what I trust, being 38, about to turn 39, is that time usually changes everybody. Either you grow older and you see differently and you change, or you go to jail and you're given time to see differently and you change. Time always changes, and so I trust time to change. What I don't trust is a system that was built to hold us a certain way to change, and that's why activism is so important.
But you also stated
for me, if you ask me what's more important, fighting the Bloods of the Crips or fighting systematic oppression.
Yeah. But, when we talk about counseling, you stated that it's what you give power to, right?
True.
So, part of that...
Things, so we need to... Okay, take, for example, the most important Crip that ever existed.
Tookie Williams, yeah.
Nipsey Hussle.
Oh.
He was the physical representation of what Crippin' is, or supposed to be.
Well, yeah, the original definition. Yes, internal. Yeah.
He literally changed culture. His best friend is Blood. Before Nipsey, Game was trying to do it with Snoop, but there was still, shakiness involved. Mm-hmm. But after Nipsey, you can't, he changed the definition of what it is to be a Crip. It's not enough to be a banger. This guy started a business. He's in tech. He was in philosophy. He was a reader. He always greeted you with a reading list. He changed culture on what it was. There's less violence, the less gang violence and stuff like that. And there's more unity within those communities. One person,
But
you know what I'm saying?
But that's also a transfer of power, though, right? He transferred that power. So even within the hip hop community and part of the Crip culture, he was transferring that power into something more positive. That's what I'm saying. We have to transfer. Now, there are a lot of great people out here doing work. True enough. We know that. But as much of the great work that they're doing, the marketing dollars, which is billions of marketing dollars, are telling otherwise. That's why we see love in hip hop. Which is, hey, nothing. Yeah, I'm happy for the people making the money, but a lot of the shows that we see are usually negative connotations of us. Majority of the social media is negative. So that's what I'm saying. We have to make a focused effort of saying, hey, these different things that don't represent us the right way, we will not support it. That's the only way we're going to transfer that power, by not supporting it.
I agree with you. I agree with you to a certain point, and this is a certain point. In the year 2021, I think it's safe to say that even though there's a lot of ignorance within our community, we have been informed enough to know what we're facing. So I don't think that these companies, these white-owned companies, have to do much to put us in a position to embarrass ourselves. We're willing to sign up for that. When you look at Love and Hip Hop, those people want to be on that show.
Yeah.
Right.
They want to be there, and they influence, not because a white person is trying to portray us wrong. We want to be there.
Yeah.
We want to do that.
But also,
that's on us. It's not like a devious plan. Like, we're woke enough to understand what we're doing.
Yeah,
we want to do that.
We want to be
now.
If
we're going to fight everything, like, how many people do you know in your life that have stopped watching the NFL after Kaepernick?
A handful.
I'm the only person within my group.
I mean, I don't watch it, but yeah, we represent anomalies in a lot of ways.
Yeah, handful.
Some people don't want to. They're gonna do what they do. Time is gonna. I think that more important is how would you react if you didn't have the option to do that, right? So the more important fight is against systems that were created to put you in a certain position.
Correct.
If we could break down those systems, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're worried about black on black crime, the niggas that kill people in my neighborhood are going to jail.
Yeah.
The cop that kills people is not.
Yeah.
My fight is with the cop.
Well,
crime is crime. So whoever commits the crime should face the same justice.
Correct.
If those two people are facing two different justices for the same crime, my issue is not with black on black crime. It's with the system. So it's more important to do what you can to change the system. Therefore, if we change the system, if we're given options to do something different, hopefully we'll make the decision to do something different. In our private time, we should try to change culture so that our people make different decisions.
Correct.
But that only comes from your own personal walk.
Right.
That's it.
But
that's how trends become trends. If I wear something that you think looks stupid, but I wear it for 6 weeks, after a while you're going to want to do it because it doesn't bother me. And then it becomes cool that it doesn't bother me. So now you want to be like me.
Yeah. And that goes. But so you're basically uttering what I'm saying. It's still system.
Yeah.
So because the system, if we've noticed the housewife shows and all the different, we notice what city they're in. Think about all of the cities that they have these shows in.
Okay.
The areas that black people want to be in. And they're marketing to people who have nothing, that come from the bottom and saying this is the only way you can do it. They're not showing them the black. They're not showing them the hundreds of thousands of black inventors. I'm not showing you that. I'm gonna show you this ratchet stuff. And as we was talking about music before. It's easy. No one really wants to hear great music, great singing, or great lyricists. I want to hear somebody who sounds like me, is mediocre. I'm gonna use some auto tune because hey, you know what? I can do that.
I disagree. I just think that
that's where the marketing. That's where the marketing dollars are going to. It's showing. It's going now. I'm happy for anyone who's making money and taking care of your family, but we're going to. We're creating a lot of mediocrity with this.
What's your pushback to that, Kai?
Hello?
Kai, you still there?
Uh-oh. Hope he ain't go. Yo.
Hold on. Let's try to reconnect.
But yeah, I just want us to continue to thrive for greatness.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
But as we talked about before, if I go to a restaurant that give me a mediocre meal, I'm not gonna be happy.
Mm-hmm.
If I go to a restaurant, I want a great meal, and with that great meal mean I'm gonna tip. But if I'm gonna go to a restaurant and they're gonna give me a bologna sandwich for $25, I can go get a whole pack for 50 cents.
Right, I got you. Yeah, and I think it's kind of as usual. We're in the same ballpark as we try to. We can see if we can get Kai back on, but Kai is saying basically
the system.
He wants to focus on what he feels is the larger picture of the system, and then you kind of, in your other time, on a smaller level, you focus on, the people around and things like that.
The bullet and the gun.
I think Skeens is kind of saying that. I mean, it's really both.
It's both.
It's both. You know what I'm saying?
Who do you blame for the killing?
Right.
The bullet or the gun?
Right. It's really both. Now, what we say we focus on more, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Because here's the thing, and if we could get Kai back on, I ask him, is that my only question would be, is it totally system, or do we have to change mind frame?
Well, okay, we watched The Black Messiah, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
my man.
Yeah.
He was cool with taking a handout and trading his against his brothers.
Right.
That's really what the system is.
Right.
Now he had a choice of, hey, I'm gonna stand tall and I'm not gonna turn my people in. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna backbite and portray the movement that they're trying to create. They weren't trying to do anything but take care of people. Mm-hmm. People that didn't have anything. They tried to unify black, white, Mexican, so on and so forth. The people that from the bottom. Unify. That means we don't have to fight. We can agree to disagree, but we can work together to take care of our people. We're going to do these things necessary to make sure your people have what they need, minds, and so on and so forth. We live in harmony. Mm-hmm. That's the fight.
Right. Yep.
So, yes, the system has been messed up ever since before. Mm-hmm. Even when they first got here.
Right.
The Protestants, and so, they came here because part of the reason for them coming to the United States coming to America was because slavery. They was allowing people of color in England to be free.
Right. And I think,
which is part of the Protestant is protest.
Right. And I think a part of what your point that you were making is that you came from an environment where, again, you had to make decisions no matter what the system and environment was around you.
So, yes. So part of it, like I said, I'm from the bottom.
Yes.
It don't get no worse than what, I love growing up. I loved everything about, I had a great childhood.
Right.
You never hear anything different.
Right. We did.
But part of growing up was, I had great people around me.
Right.
So regardless of what the system said,
right,
I had a great infrastructure around me. I had people that loved me. I had mentors. I had role models of my uncles who was always there. Yeah. Before, so I had a mother that loved me. Our entire family were Christian people that lived in the church and prayed for us a lot. So that's the formula. Creating those small villages little by little. That string is only a string, but it has to be woven with other string to create that shirt that you're wearing.
Right, indeed.
That's what we have to do. We can't complain about the this shirt here is bad. Okay, it had to start from somewhere. You can two things can be correct. Yes, the system is messed up. It needs to be, as I was saying before, it needs to be torn down. The whole thing needs to be torn down and reconfigured and structured the correct way. Mm-hmm. Building a house on quicksand don't mean it's going to be a house that lasts that long. That's basically what the Constitution is. Mm-hmm. Built on quicksand. Mm-hmm. So no wonder why we have so many issues. You see, was Tennessee just passed the thing saying that they didn't take slavery off the books?
Say what?
They didn't take slavery off the books. It was Tennessee a couple weeks ago. They voted on this.
Okay.
Those are the part of that shirt that's messed up. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yes, we do need. There are different things that needs to happen. The system is messed up, but part of that is getting all those people that voted for it out of there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The rules that they were able, the fact that they was able to vote on that and still hold this up, tells us that there's damage there. That whole system needs to be reconfigured. Mm-hmm. But we have to do both. We understand. If we all say that, hey, we know that they're plotting on us, right? Mm-hmm. Like Chris Rock said, why is there a new crackhead? I know what this is gonna do. Right. Mm-hmm. But yet and still, I still fall for the okie doke. Right. Mm-hmm. Who am I mad at? Myself or the okie doke? Right. I saw it coming. Right. Mm-hmm. Like you was talking about, hey, I'm gonna drive this car on the highway with no brakes.
I know going 70. Hey man, the brakes don't work in that car. I'm going anyway.
But then I'm complaining.
Then I'm mad at
the car didn't work right. I can't believe this car messed up.
Right.
I hopped in the car with no brakes on the highway. Yeah. I know that now the system. The thing I know the car is no good. Mm-hmm. But I didn't. But I also have to take into account that. What are my other methods outside of jumping in that car?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Got Uber, got Lyft. Hey, I got a bike, motorcycle, whatever. Call somebody for a ride. Cab. Walk. There are other methods to get there. Mm-hmm. Don't put yourself in danger in this situation, and then call foul play when we knew that it was foul in the first place.
Right, exactly.
That's my thing is we have to start internally. As he was saying, we talk about there are a lot of people that are putting in the work.
Right.
But if the people that are putting in the work is being muffled, I can't hear their voice. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're looking for it, there's people, but there are a lot of people that are coming up that don't know where to look. Mm-hmm. They don't hear that voice that's yelling out to them because only thing I'm hearing is WAP. Nothing wrong with the song. Great song for what it is. Mm-hmm. But I don't hear anything else and I don't see any. Everything that's good for me is being pushed to the back burner. That's the reason why when you go to a grocery store to eat healthy, it's about 10 times more than it is to eat junk food. You remember we first got out, bro. We was eating Little Debbie's, cakes, Hot Pockets, our 40 gallons of Bush's sweet tea for $20. We was good for the month.
When Skeens and I had our first apartment, Bush's tea, local place, was $1 a gallon. That's it. Chicken nuggets, Hot Pockets.
You know what I'm saying? When you eating bad, $20. It's gonna last you a whole month. Right. When you're trying to eat right, take that $20 and see what you get. Yeah. Only thing you get is asparagus. Nothing else. You ain't got the meat.
Right. Yeah.
But that's part of it. The presentation is, hey, all the bad stuff is up front. Mm-hmm. Go to, you know what I'm saying? Most of the time you go places, all the stuff that you don't need is up front. When you go to checkout, what's at the checkout?
Right.
Candy, chips, soda.
Yeah.
At the checkout.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of our society. There's a lot of bad out there, but we got to find a way to further amplify.
Yeah, and like you said, put power behind the good.
Correct.
He was having an offline discussion too about there's still good music out there. There is, but you have to search harder for it They don't amplify it as much, which again, talking about
it's suppressed.
Right, stuff when you hear, you're glad when you see something like
it goes back to the whole
and other stuff.
Yeah, the old music conference with 1994 when all of the record execs said, "Hey, this positive music stuff, hey, push this stuff to the back burner. I ain't trying to hear self destruction or whatever. I want to hear gangster rap, which we love the culture." But there has to be a balance. When you're suppressing the stuff that's good for us, that you to the point that you can't even find it. Look, my man Nate Parker movie, American Skin. You can't even find it.
Right.
Great movie.
Got to search.
You got to search. You got to put in work to find it.
Yep.
Find me some dumb stuff. Right. Everywhere is being marketed and promoted to you at every turn. So, unless you know that that you have options, you don't think that you have the only option is the option that's presented to you. So if it's just some mess or whatever that's low value, low frequency is the only thing that's being presented to me, that's what I see.
Right, exactly. 100.
Your society is only as intelligent as the entertainment.
Yep. So trying to get Kai back on, but something is going on. So anyway, all that said, and with that said, back to Sean Carter, the Hustler. Jay-Z is dead. And anyway,
hey, side note, bro.
No, go ahead.
You know what? We try to wait for him to get back on. How do you feel about what is that? Sweetie and Quavo situation?
I mean, I just saw that they to me, it's no different, unfortunately, than the conversation we had when Cardi and Offset broke up and got back together, and broke up and got back together. Is for me, and I haven't looked at all the details. I just saw that they broke up, right? For me, it's just more of the same that I don't know, sweetie. I know what I see. I know the image that she portrays to me. Okay, I know many people argue me down. I'm wrong. Okay, but just my opinion.
Well,
it's just that I can say it quickly. What you portray, and then the person that you decide to be in a relationship with, and then over here you have what your actual expectation from of what a successful relationship would be, and how you want a man to carry himself. They're at odds with one another, to me. But go ahead.
I'm like you. I glanced at it, and since it's been like on the headlines left and right. I see that she was saying that she been checked out for a while. And the question I would like to ask, what is a while?
Right. What does that mean?
How long have you been checked out? Because now everything is not material. Relationships are not always built on material things, right?
Right.
But I do remember June, July last year. So about 6 months, I guess, basically, give or take. She was on social media crying and bragging about him buying the 2 Birkin bags.
Yep, I remember that.
So you checked out for a while. Was it before the bags? So everyone's definition of a while is different.
Yep.
If you were checked out before the bags, don't accept the bags, and don't be on social media portraying that as you say, everything is great. If you was already checked out.
Yep.
Because you're giving him false hope for this relationship, as you lying to everybody about what kind of relation, what you're in. Because those bags are not cheap. I think those bags range anywhere from $12,000 up to like $250,000 for a bag. And I think he said in the bags he bought like 35 a piece. So, at what point in time is a relation? I think they haven't had a report say he spent $2 million on her in a couple of years. Once again, everything is not finance.
Right.
Everything is not always about the money.
Right. However,
but the question is, at what point in time were you checked out? how much money was spent during this checked out period.
Right. How much bread did he blow? I'm sorry, y'all. These are unfortunate. Women may argue, but these are terms that dudes look at.
But also, is this right? If you were checked out, and he's trying to buy his, say for instance, you're checked out, and he's trying to buy his way back in. Mm-hmm. If there's no return, you're not a victim at this point in time. Mm-hmm. This is when the victim becomes the victimizer, right? Because you are using the equity that you have of this person trying to get back in your good graces, and you're using it for evil.
right.
Because great responsibility comes great power. Well, great power comes great responsibility. Yeah. You have this power now.
Yeah.
So instead of saying, "Hey, you know what? It's not going to work out. Bless you, go your way, I go mine." I'm wasting your time, which is something that we're never getting back.
Right.
Every second that goes is gone.
Right.
The finances, we talk whatever, but who's to say he's going to get that money back? Mm-hmm. With the touring and everything, everything has been closed for a while. But don't lead people on. Mm-hmm. If it's not going to go anywhere, that goes either way. Like when women say, "Hey, these guys led me on." Mm-hmm. You don't want him to lead you on. Don't do the same. Right. I find it interesting. Like a lot of times, the people that complain about different things about how they're being treated are usually the ones that do the same thing. Like when we talk about people that go to restaurants and other places and show they color, they naked booty.
Right.
But usually, those same people that go to those places belittling those people, yelling, screaming, cursing, and doing all this, work in a customer service environment as well. Mm-hmm. You don't want you. If anything, you should have the greatest form of compassion because you know everything that it entails.
You know what it's like. Hold on, let me try something real quick. I'm doing this on the fly, y'all.
You know what I'm saying? So.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Hello?
I guess that's a no. Can you hear me at all?
Hello?
Uh-oh.
Hold on. Can you hear me? She hung up. So that's a no-go on that. Anyway, y'all, we actually have used one of these little social media apps to Bluetooth our calls into our system here, because when we try to Bluetooth it through the phone, it does what you just saw.
Yeah.
You can hear them, but they can't hear it.
But anyway. Also, while you're doing that, as we talk about relationships, and even not there, and they are an example of choosing correctly, going through the correct protocols of choosing the right person. Right.
Go ahead. That's where I was getting ready to go.
Too often, and it goes both ways, you have women saying, "Oh, the guy I'm with, my baby dad," I hate that term, or whoever I'm with, he wasn't this, he damaged me, he put me through this and that or whatever. Mm-hmm. When he showed you it multiple times that he wasn't the person, but yet and still, you go through with it.
Yep.
You're driving that car with no brakes.
Yep, we were just having this conversation. Yep.
You're going through with it. Mm-hmm. But yet and still, when it goes wrong, talk about how bad he is. He's this, he's that. You still he showed you he showed
Mr.
you
Phoenix?
nothing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't know what happened, but anyway.
But yeah. And the father does the same thing. "Oh, my baby mama put me through hell and this." You knew did you go through the correct protocol of vetting her out, finding out who she really is? Mm-hmm. Just because she looks good, and you met her in the club or whatever, she looked apart, don't mean that you really cast her correctly. She could have just been an extra. Right. Don't mean that she's supposed to be the lead to this movie. But yet and still, when you film, you cast her for the movie, you film the movie, she's stuttering over a line, and she's a horrible actress. Mm-hmm. You picked her.
Yeah, God, we didn't shift gears from our topic that we was discussing.
Yeah, we were just getting hot.
Yeah,
but no, to go take a step back, guys, and to give Kai his. Kai and Skeens was cooking, so I'm just sitting back watching it get cooked. But what we were talking about is, again, where if there is a balance, and I think the balance between, again, going back to what we were talking about, attacking the system, but also doing what we got to do internally with the community. And the question I was posing to both of you guys is that what do we do more or less? And I think, it's really that you're doing both, though, right?
I don't expect everybody to be any type of activist or any of that, because that is a personal decision, a dangerous decision, and more importantly, if you spend your time being an activist, advocating and fighting for black people, and you expect for them to appreciate that, you're heartbroken, because it's not about that, and most times they're not going to appreciate it or maybe even remember it. It's all a personal decision. Our job is how we conduct ourselves to make it like, the type of men that we are. If we create environments where it's okay to do the things that we feel is necessary to be able to express emotion and love to other men, if kids and other people see how comfortable we are and see our example, then that spreads. That's our only objective, to stand up for ourselves, stand up for other black people in public, you know what I'm saying? And question some things. But, systematically, we have warriors for that. And your job is to basically, like when I got cut off right as he was talking about trying to teach these kids to appreciate good music. Right. And what I was going to say about that is, well, the problem that we're running into there is now we're running into the generational thing. Because what we feel is good music, it probably is good music, but that's not their definition of good music. Their definition of good music at this point is maybe Lil Durk and Drake, because that's the music of their time. And when I was young, it was NWA, Paak, Nas, Jay, Wu-Tang. It wasn't Curtis Mayfield, Marvin Gaye, Isaac Hayes, and Stevie Wonder. Now that I'm an adult and I understand Miles Davis and Coltrane and Stevie Wonder, not to mention that was always available to me. It was taught to me. It just wasn't the music of my time. And as time went on, I got to understand exactly what good music is. And even now, if we look at Silk Sonic, it reminds us of what we already define as good music personally. That doesn't define what they think is good music. You know what I'm saying? And so we wind up looking like the old guys. We have to allow them the opportunity to grow up. We have to make it cool to like history, to like those. I have to tell my little brothers all the time when we talk music, just because it came before you doesn't mean it's not for you.
That's real.
My favorite music now, my favorite genre, and my favorite era is my father's music. I listen to that because it was available to me, but that wasn't the music of my time.
Yeah.
But I had an appreciation for it because it was taught to me. So our job is to show them, hey, it doesn't just stop with 50 and Cameron and Drake and them. There was music before that. If you appreciate it, that's our job.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it goes back to my sentiments of, one of my mentors always talks to me about balance. So I think it's a balance of it all. You know what I'm saying? Whether we're talking about what we're doing in the community and what we're doing on a grand scale, at your level, it's about doing a balance. If with music, with these kids that as you and I have talked about dealing with young men, Kai, I want to validate them in what they appreciate now, but also interject that, hey, the elements of that you like, it actually originates over here. They're like, oh, for real?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, let me show you this right here.
I call it teaching them the song behind the sample.
There you go.
Don't just like the loop.
Yeah.
Yo, this is the song where that loop came from, and then teaching them like that, and then
That's
it
what
can grow from that point on.
Yeah. What are you saying, Skeen?
Well, it's not always, and I listen to a lot of music, even some of today's music. Mm-hmm. But we all can tell when when there's intention behind the music, regardless of what type of music you put out. There still is a level of being good. Mm-hmm. A lot of it now I'm not gonna say a lot. A healthy percentage of it.
Some of it, okay.
Is I just hopped in a booth, made some stuff, and got it out of there. There was no real heart behind the music. You can tell when someone actually really really cares about the process, the product that they put out.
But you don't have to be. Aren't you forgetting? Like, it's easy to say that now that we're at where we are. Mm-hmm. But if you gauge when they're listening to music, when I listened to music when I was younger, that's not what I was chasing. I mean, we can't get mad at the Megan Stallions when I wanted a Dina Howard. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to hear Shaka Khan. I wanted to hear Dina Howard talk about Freak. Yeah. That's what I was.
Right. But even
we forget what we listen to. You know what I'm saying? The kind of stuff that we came up with is 10 times worse than what they're doing now. We just know better because we're at an older age. Like I said, so.
Bro, I listen to 3-6.
You got to watch. Yes, we know what good music is, but we're also the older guys. And hip hop don't look like the hip hop that we had. We feel like ours was right and theirs is wrong.
Well, as Jay was saying, it's about balance. Mm-hmm. And as much as the lyrical guys that I listen to a lot of 3-6, No Limit, and so on and so forth as well. So I went across I was never all lyrical guys as Planet Asia and so on and so forth. The guys that when I would bring this stuff to school, people looked at me like I was crazy. Yeah. So but there was they
didn't play none of those guys on the radio either.
And that goes to what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The stuff the balance is what is never in the past. There was a balance.
I feel like the balance was better.
Yes, when you watch BET, for example, you had Teen Summit, you had Uncut. There was a balance. That balance went away.
I don't think that there was a balance. I think that we accepted our time. Like when you look at the time period that we most likely go to, the golden age of hip hop, when it was Public Enemies and Native Tongues and all of that, that's because that was the predominant sentiment. Everybody just decided that this is where we're at. When the message changed, the message changed. We had that moment of time because everybody was on the same accord. So if the artist got on the same accord and talked about the same thing now, we could change culture. Mm-hmm. Culture is where they're at. Well, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but also those record execs put their head together and said that this is the sound that we're pushing. So
but it only moves. It only moves where we take it. Cool. Like I'm sure that the record execs didn't get together and say, the Public Enemy has to be that thing. It was black and white kids that made that.
Yep.
NWA, like the government, the FBI, and the police were against it.
Yeah,
it was the power of the audience that pushed them forward.
But also,
they only play to what the audience wants.
Correct, but also there are great artists that get shelved. There are a lot of
at this point, it's their job. It's their job to put yourself on. But we can't. I can't blame Cardi B for J. Cole not wanting to release music constantly.
No, and it's not that. And there are a lot of great artists besides just J. Cole. J. Cole entire roster is great, from Earth Gang, JID, so on and so forth. Kazi,
they're not making the music on the basis that they should. You know what I'm saying?
Correct, but also when we talk about people get shelved, if I have this artist that's going to play nonsense. And I'm not going to just say it's nonsense. I'm going to have this artist is going to have low frequency music.
Okay.
That's not going to provide any type of real value. But I also have this artist that's going to have some uplifting music. And you're both on the same record label. I, as a record exec, have the ability to shelf the artist that I want to shelf. Therefore, your music will never come out. That's just like when companies buy other companies' patents.
I disagree.
And never put you out. I'm gonna buy your patent.
Disagree.
There are a lot of guys that when we ask, where are you been? Well, they wouldn't let me put my music out. Why you think there's so many people that be yelling, talking about, I want to get out this deal? It's a lot of people that get shelved.
What's your disagreement, Kyle?
I disagree because the music industry that you're talking about is probably stopped at about 2008. Nobody's getting shelved. And matter of fact, the music, the A&Rs are not even paying attention to you unless you have some sort of visible following. Mm-hmm. It's your objective to create your own fan base, or they won't pay attention to you because their only obligation is monetary.
Correct.
Their job is not to put out messages, to create artists or anything.
Correct.
They give you what the public demands so that they can get money.
Correct.
It's the public's demand for a certain sound of the day.
Correct.
Everybody else's obligation, and they have access to all of these streaming services and create their own thing. It's a different time now.
Correct.
That's why Freddie Gibbs can do. That's why Griselda does what they do. They create their own cult following, and they don't even need the industry. Well, it's your obligation. But when I look at your Kendrick Lamar, who is the culture leader, Kendrick Lamar takes 2 to 3 years to make an album. Big Crit, missing in action. J. Cole, missing in action. JID, on the come up. They got other new artists. Everybody else is out there grinding. They have their wave. It's their moment. It's the sound of the time. Correct. Good music and message is always going to be around. But message and money don't exactly go hand in hand.
Well, I'm. Let's go with this. Okay, you said 2008, right? Even though there are artists that still don't have ownership of their masters. That's why they have these 360 deals. And cats that don't want to put out music because they understand these 360 deals. But even when you say 2008, right? A lot of if I suppress the positive stuff, if all that I'm being fed is low value, low frequency, I don't have a point of reference of anything other than what's being presented to me. Hence, the music, hence the people that come forward, their only reference is, like a lot of women, their only point of reference is Nicki Minaj, not Queen Latifah.
They have
not Missy
information out there.
But if they have
artists have put plenty of information. You got Jay-Z even now talking about you still taking deals. There's plenty of information out there.
But
there always has been.
And
back in the day, it used to take an artist 3 albums to finally get their contract right because you have to have leverage. You have to have leverage.
There's a lot of guys.
You don't need them anymore. If you can build yourself up. And now I have the leverage to do my music, and I've created the demand to whereas I can say, if I don't come out, you're going to lose money.
Okay. I think you're overstating the leverage that the artists have over the label off top, though.
Okay, did you watch when they had Coach K on the Revolt Summit?
Yes.
You know how much did you remember how much he said it cost to push a song? $250,000 to push a song
for him.
No, he said to push a song to get it in rotation to be heard on all these streaming platforms. It's $250,000. Now the thing is that people forget that one of the biggest secrets in the music industry is a lot of these people that say they're independent are not. For example, 21 Savage.
Very true.
His dad is a world-renowned doctor. His image is, I'm from the slums. My dad was a J, so on and so forth. Image, portrayal. The money is, I will put the dollar behind this image. Now, if he would have came out as a doctor's kid, talking proper, speaking about a message, the money wouldn't have been behind him. He would have went.
But he didn't know his father.
He would have went wooed. Everybody in the industry knew who his father was. Even when it came out, Charlamagne them said, I thought everybody knew it. When they slipped up and said it on TV, on radio, they slipped up and said it. Like, I thought everybody knew it. So he knew who his father was.
Yeah, but he didn't know his father. He didn't grow up with his father. And the slack against him was they were like, oh, he's for Britain. They were like, no, he comes from an immigrant family.
I don't care
he
where
was
he's
raised
from.
in Atlanta.
I don't care where he's from. There are great artists from Britain. Skepta and
No,
so
I understand that, but no, they didn't understand that his family are immigrants, and he grew up in the environment that he talks about. He doesn't know his father like that.
Well, the thing is, how do we know when they're
so my father could be Martin Luther King, but if I never knew the guy, he's just a dude.
But it's not that. What I'm saying is, there are a lot of people that have been put in position as quote unquote independents or have a story that they're telling. Don't mean the story that we're being presented is the accurate story. When I can put enough dollars behind this person to make sure that the story sounds legit. We've heard a lot of stories that over the years, then later on it comes out. You say, oh, hold on, that person was lying.
Right. I think as much leverage as social media has given artists, it's given them more leverage than they had. But the game is still the game, though.
My brother puts out music, right?
Yes.
I was in the music industry.
I was going to say Kai was in the game.
So that payola thing is real, even through social media, because you have influencers. Mm-hmm. A lot of people pay money to influencers to help push their music. We have the streaming services, but 70% of the streaming services are owned by record labels. So the record label's still gonna get money. Okay, I'm gonna give you this. I'm gonna give you this .00000. I'm gonna give you this .00006% off each stream. You may have 100 million streams. I'm gonna give you a few dollars, but I own a healthy percentage of this streaming industry. Spotify is primarily owned by record labels. You can look that up. The record labels are very invested in all of these streaming services.
What's your disagreement to that, Kai?
The industry, like, he does have a point as far as the streaming services.
Okay.
But as far as record labels, they're dying. It's not the same game. It's not the same game as the way that we came up with. But I wanted to go back to an initial point where we were talking about not coming out with your story. Mm-hmm. I was in my mid-30s when I realized I was away from my biological father for maybe about 10. Mm-hmm. About 10 years. Okay. Now, he was there, he was around, he made such a deep impression on me when I was younger. So when I was away from him, it didn't feel like his presence was missing. Mm-hmm. When I came into my own, I felt like I didn't have a father. That's what I ran with. I was around Crips and all of that. That's what I ran with. When I started doing music, I made music like that's where I came from. Mm-hmm. That's absolutely not where I came from. I actually come from a tradition where I had a stepfather, a good stepfather,
solid
who was
guy.
willing to be there. Mm-hmm. I grew up in the church around a whole bunch of men in the church that actually wanted to be there and bridge that gap. Mm-hmm. Brother Tracy, all of that. But it didn't take me until I got to middle age where I realized I come from a tradition of strong black men willing to fill the gap for something that was missing. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now, I happen to be of a specific personality where, I'll call it as I see it. Not everybody is like that, and I was not always like that. And my narrative when I was making music was that, like, I didn't have a father because I wanted that badge. Mm-hmm. That's culturally cool to have a struggle because we're black people and we come from struggle. So I don't fault them for having it. He didn't happen to know his father, but I wouldn't exactly fault him if that was the narrative he was painting. Cash Money millionaires were never millionaires, but they faked it until they made it. Is it not the same thing as manifesting?
Well, but what I'm saying, he was an example of what I'm saying of there are people that are planted in the industry. Just like you said that your image
plants. I know what you're saying.
So
I know what you're saying.
But part of that is, as you stated, the music that you're putting out was your representation that you presented to the masses. Now, for the people that don't understand the difference between entertainment and music, people that hear that message thinking I gotta be like that, or that person real. True. That's why you have these small towns that, in my city, we was one of the first places that shot up Tupac.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah,
we shot up. I'm unfortunately, it's not anything to brag on, but at PJ they shot at Tupac when he came as y'all country cat.
Savage has been shot. 21 Savage has been shot several times too. So you're gonna pay for what you portray.
And correct. So what I'm saying is a lot of times the smaller towns and kids in general are looking at this person on TV thinking that you telling the truth. Oh, I gotta be like you. Oh, that person real. So I gotta live up to that person's expectation. That imagery is what you're shelling out. I'm not seeing Public Enemy. I'm only seeing hey, I gotta be Tupac. Why you think you saw so many people got thug like tatted across their belly? I gotta live up to this. But if we didn't find out till later, I mean, it was Pac was who he was. He was a complicated person. They rarely talked about the Black Panther portion of him.
No, that was personal and the artistic part of him.
Yeah, right. That's the part how he really was just an artistic dude.
He was out there, doing what he did.
The truth about it is that's not even the biggest issue. The biggest issue when you look at people like Pop Smoke and stuff, it's not that he was portraying something that he was not. The issue is the part of the culture I would like to change is that with Pop Smoke, he was the snap before he made the other initial snap. He was flashing money.
Okay,
and then he did another snap, and I guess his manager did another snap, and the location was on.
Yep, that's what it was. Yep.
Now, for a lot of these situations, that's the culture that we have to address now. There's a subculture, that Instagram culture when you're trying to betray a certain lifestyle. People who are living in survival areas don't understand the difference between under entertainment.
Right. And that goes to what I'm saying.
They're really broke in real life. So when they see you flashing and now they have availability to you,
correct,
they're gonna make that happen.
Correct.
That's the issue. It's not necessarily living, because 6ix9ine will throw that in your face all the time. 6ix9ine is a living example of the way that we grew up. When I grew up and I did gangster rap, when I went to concerts, there was dudes in the front row and they're grilling you, and I know I'm gonna have to go against these dudes after this concert's over, because they want to see if what I'm saying is real.
Correct.
So that's not what's going on nowadays. What's going on nowadays is just too much flash and people trying to portray a life that they don't have, and then the real cats are coming to get that. And then they're like, I don't have what I'm trying to portray that I have. And you got to die for that.
But that's part of the plan. That's the imagery. That goes to the imagery that's being pushed. They think that
that's
to
on them. That's not the record label. We all have our own personal thing.
Yeah, but
that's what all of these sites are doing, is making you create a life that you wish that you had.
But it's still 360. It still entails part of the label and everything to push you to be seen on Instagram. Those algorithms and things like that I got to show. What you say?
Black labels are not grabbing Jill Scotts. They're appealing to a certain audience. So black labels do the same thing as other record labels.
But we're not pushing.
But the record labels don't have the power. We're creating our own image now. We create our own fan base. We have the power now.
Yeah, we do.
It's not the record labels. We have the power. The record labels come to whoever is creating the amount of attention and getting all the likes and stuff like that, and then you could set up your own stuff. And if you start off with a record label like QC, and you beat Amigos, after that first or second album, you're rearranging your contracts. And now I got the leverage because you see what I did.
Yeah.
But now you know how much I'm worth and what you can stand to lose if I'm no longer there.
Correct.
So wait, y'all, we got to put a button on this. I got one thing I want to close out with, because y'all two angry old men.
Nah, this is good convo.
Nah, I'm talking noise, Kai. But can we agree though? More people aren't putting out a certain music again because the mold has already been made. As we're talking about expressly about like hip hop. So it feeds back into, again, the imagery that we're putting out, that kids are like, okay, I have to portray, again, the mold before is that I have to portray this image. Now, whether the record label is directly influencing it as it once did before, the influence and the mold has already been set, and we continue to perpetuate that.
I just think that we feel as though, based on our research and our experience and our knowledge, we know what is best to help our community. But sometimes we don't understand exactly what the community wants. If we're doing the television show, we want to write the Boondocks. What the people want is Blackish. And we're like, that's corny, but that's what they want. Universally, this is what they like. And personally, this is the message I'm trying to push. So I think sometimes you misunderstand the community, and we want us to all be a certain way. And we're just not. And,
okay.
You know?
That's fair. I mean, I think that's fair. And I think, though, what happens, and again, I would have to, I know you just threw that out there as an example. I'd have to look at it. But I think the community, again, that word, we're not a monolith. In general, we have a certain kind of mind frame and way of looking because of what our culture is. And then I think you will find that if we pull the numbers for a Blackish, the reason why a Blackish blows on a big network like that is because it's more palatable to the others. It ain't because black people is just supporting Blackish like that. Because I really don't think the numbers would support that.
And I love Blackish was a good show.
I think that at the end of the day, that's always going to be our plight. Because right now, what we're talking about is how we could get better as a people.
Indeed.
So. But in the back of our hand, so the world would look at us differently. Like, we still care about, like, white people don't have to worry about what black people care. Like, they can be whoever they want,
exactly,
and not have to care about how we see them.
Yep.
But we are walking around that we've got to be the best, the best people, because we're thinking about how the world sees us. I think that if we stop caring about that,
yes,
then we would be just fine.
I agree, 100%. 100%. Switching gears though, Kai, because again we gonna turn the table all the way over, but it looks like because I loved our sports talk last time. Looks like Anthony Joshua and Fury have finally signed a deal. What do you think?
Yeah, they got a two-fight deal, rematch clause.
Okay.
They got a 2-fight deal, and I'm happy about it. I will be rooting for AJ, but I got Fury.
You're rooting for AJ, but you're going with Fury.
Fury going. Fury.
I got Fury winning.
Yeah.
I'll be rooting for AJ.
Now, part of that 2-fight deal is, I think, the only pushback I have with that is, if Fury wins, yes, rematch. If Joshua wins, I think
rematch.
I think Wilder deserves it. I mean, if Josh, other way around, if Fury loses, he deserves a rematch because he's a champ.
Okay.
If Fury,
I disagree.
Well, other than that one time, when did Wilder lose?
Wilder lost the first fight.
But it was a draw. I'll put it this way: round by round, I had Fury winning more rounds than Joshua. I mean, than Fury.
And then,
in theory,
than Wilder.
In theory. I mean, I had Wilder winning more.
You had Fury winning more rounds than Wilder.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, if we are correct with our counting ability, Fury was down more than 10 seconds. If we counted, if we were to accurately count.
I'll give you that.
So
and sometimes mistakes happen like that.
Yeah.
But honestly, if I knock a man down twice in a fight and they still call it a draw, you lost, bro.
Yeah. I mean,
you lost. And then the second fight, he just got torn apart, and then he's come up with 1,000 reasons why. So you technically got beat twice.
I think that's
Joshua lost. He avenged his loss.
Hold on.
Wilder has to make a comeback.
Let's touch that.
Wilder has to fight Ruiz, maybe 2 fights.
No, let's touch this. Right? Who did Joshua lose to? Andy Ruiz.
Anthony Ruiz.
I like Ruiz is a. I like him. There's no way Joshua should have lost that first fight.
That's not true. That's not true. Andy Ruiz is a better boxer.
Correct.
He had faster hands.
Absolutely.
And he looks unexpected.
And
not to mention what we don't remember is that was not his fight.
And
Joshua was supposed to fight somebody else who was taking steroids. They had to fill in a replacement. He didn't know anything about Ruiz. And when he saw Ruiz, he was like, "Oh, okay, that's this."
And if you watch the second fight,
getting ready to walk into.
If Andy was
he realizes you were fighting a better boxer with faster hands, with knockout punch in both hands. You can't know what you don't know. Yeah. He fixed that in the second fight.
Andy kicked it too much the second fight.
It's not like he had a chance to study Ruiz. Ruiz came in on like 2-3 weeks notice.
If you watch some of that second fight, if Ruiz was halfway in shape, he would have beat him again. Hand speed.
Ruiz is a dope fighter. The only thing that hinders Ruiz is that he looked crazy as a boxer, but if you look at him now, he looks amazing.
So if that's the case, I guarantee Joshua don't want to fight him again if he is in shape. I guarantee you, Joshua would deport himself to avoid fighting Ruiz if Ruiz is in shape.
If Joshua had the chance to get himself prepared to fight Ruiz, just Ruiz, it would always result the same. He gave Joshua a good fight, but Joshua was going to win that. But when I run into something I've never seen before, didn't even study upon 2 weeks before a fight, they didn't know what they were getting ready to walk into. I don't fault him for that. And he fixed that situation. Wilder knew what he was walking into with Fury. They had been trying to fight for years. Mm-hmm. They knew what they were getting ready to walk to. You couldn't beat it twice.
Well, I think the second one, it was just a perfect. Now I don't know I've heard all the talk
accusations.
But
he just can't accept it.
Really, more than anything, is he hit it with a perfect shot. He hit him in the ear and ruptured his eardrum. His equilibrium was off, and they should have stopped the fight after that.
But that's the same thing that happened to Joshua.
That's really what
he got caught when he was throwing a punch, just like Roy Jones got caught in the Tarver fight. That's boxing.
Yeah, but in terms of,
Wilder is Fury is just a better fitter than both of them.
Absolutely,
he's the better boxer. But he's smart, he's clever, and he's big.
I think if Joshua's, I think if Wilder's corner would have stopped the fight after the equilibrium, it wouldn't have looked so bad on him. It's the fact that
he would have got hurt.
Well, I'm saying the optics of it, how people perceive him as a fighter. I think if they would have stopped it when he was no longer able to defend himself, the way that people viewed him wouldn't be the same. They would have said, "Hey, he ruptured his eardrum. Understood. It was an injury that we had to stop." But the optics that people saw was he was constantly getting hit. We only see the punches, the constant punches.
He got knocked down 3 times
because his equilibrium was off. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Only thing that we see, everyone is focusing on the after effect, because that's the only imagery that you had. If his corner would have did right by him and shut it down, it would have been a par 3.
Well, who do y'all have winning if and when Joshua and Wilder fight?
I think now Joshua.
Before you didn't think that?
Before I didn't think though. Joshua had to. I think Joshua is at a situation where Muhammad Ali was when he fought Foreman. I didn't got my jaw broke. I didn't been knocked down. I've been beaten. I'm experienced now. You can't bother me anymore. When he was on his high horse, I don't think he would have known what to do if he would have got his bell rung. Mm-hmm. When he got his bell rung and he's experienced the ultimate loss, that was his coming to America party. He lost. Mm-hmm. This was his first big fight in America. He was in Madison Square Garden. He was the man. This was supposed to be his crowning. And then he ran into Andy Ruiz, and he made him quit. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So after you've been through that, and then you found redemption, and then you found, you value boxing again, and you know what it takes. He's good now. He can fight Wilder, but before I think Wilder would have been too much. He didn't know what it was like to lose.
I can say this now. I haven't said it on the show, but for me, Wilder has been one of the greatest examples of a one-trick pony in heavyweight history to me.
Oh, Wilder, and you know who Wilder is? Just flipping a little bit.
Yeah.
Wilder is Dwight Howard and any other NBA player, and any other NBA player that only use his athleticism.
Right, yeah.
Once that athleticism go away, who are you?
Yeah, because he has never, never technically got in shape yet.
Now, I would say
personally, I feel like the way that I've always seen him is he's a tourist in the sport. Wilder's not really a fighter. Wilder is a failed wide receiver, a failed basketball athlete that is big and has a huge punch.
That's it.
He's not a fighter. He's not a boxer.
No.
Yeah.
At all. And I've never looked at him like that. And I was looking forward until when he walked in front of somebody who actually knew how to throw them gloves.
Yeah.
And he wilted.
When he fought Ortiz. Ortiz is a very good fighter.
Ortiz is a 40-year-old. He's a 40-year-old veteran that just needed that paycheck.
But also, everybody ran from Ortiz. No one wanted to fight Ortiz.
Nobody's going to bet. Ortiz also had steroids issues.
Yeah, but no one wanted to fight.
I didn't remember that.
Well, he had steroids. Like, that was the knock on Ortiz. Is nobody's going to remember.
The same thing with Fury.
Like, tested hot twice. He's 40-something years old. Mm-hmm. He knows nobody's going to remember him. He's just trying to get that check.
Yeah.
Now, and Ortiz was kicking his butt.
That's what we talking about. Yeah,
he beat him the whole fight, and then he ran into a right hand. That was it.
Yep. All she wrote.
Now, Fury, playing devil's advocate, Fury has had his steroid issues as well as there's been other people that have made claims of him with the gloves. He had a sparring partner that had claims of the gloves. He had an older fight. It was a long time ago that the guy had the same issue with the glove and had the similar outcome as Wilder.
Kyle, what do you think about the glove gate with Fury?
I think that if I suspected there was going to be a glove issue, that's the first thing I'm going to talk about. And then there's going to be lawsuits after lawsuits after lawsuits. I'm getting the commission involved. Mm-hmm. But if the first thing that you're saying is, well, I had a 40-pound suit on and it drained, and then there's another excuse.
Yeah, he had too many.
The excuse comes.
Stick with one.
Oh, he had something in his gloves.
Yeah,
get out of here. I think that he can't accept that he got his butt kicked by a white boy. This white boy in particular.
Stick to one issue.
They have a history.
Yeah. Now.
And then when they fought again, he just couldn't accept that he lost, man. Yeah. And that's a sign of
that boy even said his trader conspired against him. Like, yo, come on, man.
But now,
he took his energy out on the guy that saved him.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Just
Go ahead, play devil's advocate.
We all know boxing is very dirty.
Oh yeah, so indeed.
We never know with Sonny Liston and so on and so forth. You never know what has happened with boxing.
We knew about Sonny Liston and we knew about Margarito.
I'm about to say now, Margarito, for example, had them gloves for a long time.
Yeah.
Before they finally caught him.
He got found it out. I think that nowadays it is easier to and more important to find out. They're looking and they're watching.
Yeah.
So I just think that I'm in gloves every other several times a week, and I'm 5'8", 180 pounds. Mm-hmm. A guy that's like 6'10", his hands gonna look a little different in them gloves. I do not believe that Fury was cheating at all.
Yeah, Wilder for me, like you said. Well, I just wanted him to get again, and I'm thinking too, Kai and Skeens. And Skeens, you and I talked about this initially. At the level of athleticism that Wilder, and the level of condition that the Wilders, the Floyd Mayweather, just to box at that level in general, to walk to the ring with 40-pound vest on, is that going to have you that spent?
No.
You know what I'm saying? And then, like you say, that boy was, I'm making fun of, but that dude was like, also I usually eat Chick-fil-A before the fight, but I didn't get my Chick-fil-A. I had to eat IHOP.
It can because you can't even get a massage, bro.
Yeah.
A massage will weaken your legs.
I know that will.
Masturbate, that'll weaken your legs.
Yeah. No.
So I mean, it could be a lot of things. It also could mean a guy that's bigger than you, a better boxer than you, and more skilled than you can actually whoop your butt.
That's what I think it is.
I think that in that fight, well, one, Joshua's cool. I think he'll be version of Lennox. He's a B version of Lennox. But with Wilder is the thing that kills me with him. Is even though we talk about him being a one-trick pony, and that trick is great.
Yeah, it's a great trick. It's a heck of a trick. It's a heck of a magic trick, boy.
He has not diversified at all. So I'm hoping
he hasn't had to, and he hasn't had to fight
at
anybody
all.
That made.
So I'm hoping that the loss would make him take a step back and say, "Hey, instead of that pawing jab, I need to make sure that I actually put some
jab,
some heat on this jab. As hard as he hit, go to the body sometime. If I can knock you out with one shot to the head, I definitely can knock you down with one kidney shot. Look what when B-Hop knocked my man down with the stunned him with the kidney shot.
Yeah, Oscar.
Yeah, be diversified. So but this is part. It is not music, but it is talking about being a student of the game.
Right.
Really loving what you're doing. It not just the trinkets that come with it.
Yeah.
I don't know how much he loves what he does. Because if so, you would get what other
right on that.
And that's what we're talking about. Like I said, it kind of correlates with the music. I want to know that you love what you do. Make whatever you do, whatever you make. Like, hey, I like Waka Flocka. Let's do it. I could tell he was passionate about the music he put out. That's what I'm talking about with Wilder. Be passionate, because with who he is, there's no reason why he shouldn't be hitting up Floyd. He shouldn't be hitting up my man they're retired.
They don't like each other
okay.
at all.
My man that retired.
I get with the sentiment that you're saying.
Andre Ward.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people. He get with B-Hop. There's a lot of people that has the mental portion of boxing.
That's what I was about to say.
Andrew
Wilder to me, it's all mentality.
James Toney.
Yep.
I mean, there are people that has a mentality that understand the intricacy. Well, I can't talk for nothing today. Of boxing, and learn the tricks of boxing, because when that punching power may go away. What if you break your hand like Floyd did when he was younger? What else I got now? I gotta understand how to diversify. I gotta have a counter move. But if I see
not only that is that it comes down to your mentality when being tested, right? And the difference between Anthony Joshua and Wilder is Anthony Joshua had to face Klitschko. He got dropped by Klitschko, got up and gave us one of the greatest heavyweight fights and won that fight by knocking Klitschko out. He fought Ruiz. He walked into the unexpected and got made to quit. He came back from that and switched his mentality. But Wilder has done nothing but make excuses after excuses, and he lost twice, and he cannot figure out why.
Right.
His mentality is weak because he's a classic big man. He's been a big man his whole life, and he only knows how to be big. So when it's taken away from him, he doesn't know how to be anything else.
Yeah, that's boxing in general. Why you think every time you hear the trainers always call them champ? They have to manifest that they are the champ. Yep. They can't be beat. They have to keep beating into their psyche that you're great, because those guys are fragile. And a lot of dudes probably got
Mike
knocked
Tyson
down.
used to have to get hypnotized.
Yeah.
Hypnotized at 14.
Yeah, and some of the guys probably getting beat in sparring sessions. So you how can I get you back and not think about that punch that knocked you out doing sparring? Got to keep calling you champ. Hey, you know that didn't count, champ. Yeah. So for him being called champ, it's a paper title.
Well, it's funny that y'all talk about it's two things. Like Mike, I love the transformation of Mike Tyson now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh.
How much information we could glean off of Mike
bro.
now. Mike is just like, everything I was doing, I was really just afraid. I was just really this afraid guy. I was really totally just
one of the great,
total complete,
bro.
I was just a coward. I was just a coward. Had low self-esteem. I hated myself.
First of all, that's a great mic. I didn't know that you had a mic under the sleeve, bro. That's ridiculous. Second of all, can you imagine when we were younger that Mike Tyson would one day be? I think he's not just one of my favorite thinkers, but I think he's one of the great thinkers.
Man, he is, Kai.
Yeah, who would have thought?
And I'm an avid reader, right?
Yes.
The second greatest book I've ever read was Mike Tyson's autobiography.
Really?
Word.
It is so honest, it's uncomfortable.
Huh.
It is an amazing book, and I really think you guys should read that.
I'm about to check it out.
Have you ever seen this one
I'm
man
sold now.
Bro, I knew Mike was great when he did a solo performance on stage. Just
he
him.
had his one-man show.
His
Yeah.
One-man show. You know
amazing.
you know how much dialogue you have to be able to remember
Yeah, man.
as a
It's ridiculous.
we talk about I Am Legend.
Yeah.
Now Will doing I Am Legend, you can cut.
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
cut and
Yeah.
Mike is up here by himself. There's no cuts.
Yes.
With a live audience watching you by yourself.
Well, yeah, and my
Mike is amazing, bro.
theater experience, the hardest thing is I had a couple of monologues that I would do because in acting, sometimes what helps you with lines and stuff is that I can play off of you, and your dialogue helps me to remember.
Even battle rap.
You know what I'm saying?
They catch back
it
in
helps
line
me to remember where I'm going in the story.
Man,
when it's
I used to have issues remembering my raps.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm not a spoken word poet is because I don't want to have to memorize my poems.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't perform.
Talking about that mentality, like you said, like that, one of the things too that I appreciated that people didn't at the time about Joshua when he lost is that he was a gracious loser. But people was like, oh, he's too okay with losing. I think he was just a gentleman about it. Hey, he got me.
It's great.
I gotta go back to the drawing board. Yeah, I gotta go back to hey, he got me. I wasn't my night. I got to go back to the drawing board, which he did, and say, hey, I have to fight a completely different game plan to beat this dude.
That culture is different because our culture is if you get beat,
Adrian Broner,
right?
That board.
Yeah.
Don't get started on AB. He looked so bad at his last. AB, pack it up, man. Pack it all.
As we talk about Mike, bro.
Yeah.
One of the greatest rebrands of all time.
Oh, 100%.
Mike. 2 Chainz,
absolutely.
George
Foreman.
Him, George Foreman. Yeah, people hate it. 2 Chainz, who was originally Titty Boy, became 2 Chainz. Great rebrand.
Yeah.
Yep.
Young Berg, who became Hitmaker. Great rebrand.
Yeah.
Because at one point, everybody was slapping Young Berg.
He was
they would take him to nursing home for let all people to slap him up. Great rebrands.
Yeah. Definitely, Mike. I listen to Mike, man, and his honesty, but also what I appreciate him about a man is just his willingness to be vulnerable about his shortcomings in front of you, and then also making you understand what's so great about you, though. You know, I'm like, yo, that's true.
But that goes to as you talk about the representation. We need that.
Yeah,
we need more people to understand, more men to understand. That the facade that we've been told that we have to portray, this bigger than life imagery that we're always told. That's the only way that you're gonna be praised is you can be praised and championed even more. Look at Mike; he's being championed more by letting down the armor.
Yeah, man.
He stripped the armor off, and he's a bigger.
If individuals of influence can walk that life, like who deserves so much credit to a shift in culture, but we don't really think about it. Charlamagne the God.
Oh, you read my mind. Charlotte is so honest.
The God on his crusade for therapy. Has literally shifted black culture.
Yep.
Yeah.
We think that this came out of nowhere. He was the guy with the torch that was trying to lead therapy and all of this. He was the one carrying that flag and that torch. And then just in this short amount of time, he shifted black consciousness. That's one individual. Dave Chappelle is another individual. If people as individuals just walk in their light personally, you can shift culture. One person can shift culture. Kaepernick shifted culture. One person can shift culture by just doing them and not trying to get everybody else to do that. If I make it cool, everybody else will do it. If I make it normal, if I normalize this type of behavior, I will affect the immediate world. You can't preach to black people. You just got to normalize it and make it cool. Make it available in their psyche.
Well, even, like you say with Charlotte, it's like, hey man, people, hey, what about when them dudes swung on you? Oh yeah, they met me outside and swung on me. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
but he understood. It's almost like
I ran.
And I ran,
But it goes to almost back to almost like 8 Mile.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what he talks about. Yeah,
I'm going to own it all.
Own it. Yeah.
Another rebrand. Joe Budden went from being hated by the industry to everybody in the industry. Everybody in the industry run to him.
Yes.
He couldn't get a phone call, but every brand and all it runs to him now.
Yep, indeed.
But also vulnerable. Hey, I'm gonna strip it all down. I'm gonna tell you who I am.
But it's time. Time has to allow you to do that.
Yeah.
And
time. These guys are all older guys. They're all in their 40s. They're all shifting culture.
Yeah.
It's all the same age group, the same experience, and that's what you have to do. One person of influence, walk the walk, normalize it, and now the culture can add this to their repertoire.
Yeah,
and
add it to the cachet.
But also, I think over time, part of that age is the burden of performing every day becomes heavy. It's a burden to actually have to be in character all of the time. So these dudes, like, it's almost like they got a chance to sit down and say, whatever.
Well, that's what's so dope.
That's why
and
it's
so
to be yourself. If you're yourself all the time.
And that's really again, Kai. This dude is unabashedly. Like I said, I would see this brother online. I'm like, yo, this dude ain't doing himself no favors.
No.
Hey, Kai said he a fighting champion. I'm gonna take on all comers.
Look, I tell people any day, I guarantee you, with just my web searches alone, and I'm on somebody's list.
Yeah.
I get it.
I'm
on somebody's list.
Hey, I used to tell.
That's an off-camera conversation.
I went through a little span of
time. My
time.
searches alone.
I went through a little span of time where I was putting some black conscious stuff on Facebook and posts and data. And sometimes I put something out and I would tell Liz, hey, we could be getting investigated as of today for what I did. She'd be like, okay, but
hey, man,
you'd be a fool not to think so. You'd be a fool not to think so.
That Snowden thing was real.
You know what I'm saying? But nah, man,
yes, sir.
It's really, guys, again, just making, like Kai said, making authenticity, cool. Because again, a part of our culture was bravado. Guys, nobody ever took an L. Nobody ever got knocked out before. Everybody was the biggest dope boy. Always had money. I always had girls. Like, that's the part that used to kill me too. Yes. Man, it wasn't like I was like this before I got famous. Like, stop it.
That's why I was saying. Once again, I hate the term baby mama.
Right.
Look who you had kids with before you got on.
Oh yeah,
and look who you have kids with when you get on, and who you're dating when you got on.
Right.
She's not dating you.
Let's
my
stop
friend.
pretending. Skeens used to always say for years, bro, money is a facelift. It's an instant facelift. So.
Easy. You're not ugly. You're just broke.
Yeah.
So anyway, man. Skeens, before we close out, man, any parting shots?
Hey, no, man, I'm good. Just happy to hang out with my guys, have some great dialogue, which we need to make this a norm.
Again, we're adding to the cultural cachet. That's what I'm calling it. The cultural cachet is what we add to. Kai Phoenix, any parting shots, my brother?
Our only objective is to be a voice.
That's it.
Our only objective is to be a voice, to add into the dialogue and add into the ether. That's all I'm gonna let you know. Anything else is extra.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. So we appreciate y'all spending some time with us, man. You good? We close it out anyway.
My bad.
But anyway, y'all, it's been another episode. I'm your boy Jay Carter. We got my man Kai Phoenix and my man that always heard and never seen Skeens. Another episode of How Did We Get Here? We'll holler at y'all next time.